I just captured the uncapturable.
Have you ever captured an incredible image of the most astonishing landscape, putting time and sweat into editing it, perfecting it, and then shown it to someone to get a reaction like this?
That's alright.
Well, me too. And the reason for that is there's something missing from our frame. And that something is depth. Depth is missing from our frame. Now, did you think I'll tell it to you without actually coming to you with a solution? Well, let me tell you, there is no solution. Or is there? This is a stereogram image. This is nothing new, it's not a new invention. But I want to resurrect the concept and bring it back into photography where I feel it belongs. This really is magic because of the fact that it takes 2D images viewed on a 2D monitor and allows you to see 3D from it, only when doing a certain thing with your eyes. Most of you probably still, trying to figure out how do you view this image that's on the screen. So there are two ways to view it. The first way is cross-eyed viewing, and that is the way we're going to view these images. And that is the only way, and I'll get to why. And then we get divergent viewing. So with cross-eyed viewing, you'll basically cross your eyes so that the right eye actually sees the left image displayed on the left side, and the left eye crosses over and views the right image displayed on the right side. Where divergent viewing, actually your eyes go more straight and actually focuses on something behind or aligns to something behind the monitor, and your eyes align in a way so that the right eye sees the right image and the left eye sees the left image. Now this technique doesn't work for us because then the images should be closer apart than our eyes are apart, and that means viewing a very small image. So cross-eyed viewing is independent of monitor size, and that is why we're going to use that technique. So I would recommend you view this is keep your head and your eyes level with your monitor, very important, and then take a finger or something and put it at a distance from your eyes that is half the distance between your eyes and the monitor, and move it further and closer away until you see those two images almost become one right behind your finger. In the middle you will see one image. You'll see blurry images on the side, but then you'll see one image in the middle, and move your finger until that image, the edges and stuff become clear. And then what you want to do is you want to try to focus your eyes itself. So now our eyes are lined up, but they aren't focused yet. So we want the lenses in our eyes to play around a bit and then find the focus. And that is when you catch, the 3D effect. This takes a lot of practice. Some people, really struggle and never find it. But most people, I'm confident with a lot of practice, will find it. I'm used to it now. I can do it in about 2-3 seconds. So it takes a bit of practice. But after that, you'll see it quite quickly. So how does a stereogram actually work? Well, it works with the fact that we have two eyes as humans. And each eye, because the eyes aren't at the exact same spot in space, they see a different perspective. So my right eye see a bit different perspective than my left eye. And our brains combine these two perspectives into one to actually see depth and perceive something closer and further away. And a stereogram simply, uses this effect to actually trick your brain into thinking an image is 3D by feeding every eye a different image that is taken from a little bit different perspective. So how do you capture this stereogram? First of all, we want a stationary subject, and a landscape will work. Anything that is not moving will work. Even a person, but the person should be standing still. And we also don't want wind or anything shaking big significant things in our frame. And now for settings, we just want to lock our exposure, lock our white balance, lock our focus, lock our focal length, our zoom, just everything should stay the same between the two images. And then also we want our shutter release mode to be on burst or high, high release, high frame rate. And I'll get to why you want that. So with those being the requirements, let me show you how you can capture one. Okay, so as you can see, you're going to take your grid lines, or you have my grid lines turned on with the phone, or with the DSLR, you're going to use the focusing point. When you use live view, it's probably going to be grid lines as well. And I'm going to line these grid lines up with something that is quite far away, almost infinity. And as you can see, I'm going to use my right top grid line cross now, and I'm going to align it with where those mountains, cross there. And I'm going to take a photo there, boom. Then I'm going to shift over a bit and take another image. So you should keep your camera just level and just shift over, keep that spot lined up, and keep everything nice and lined up, and then take your second image. So it's quite easy. This doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to align these up again in our editing. You're probably asking now, okay, you moved a bit. How much should I move? Now this is dependent on the closest object in your frame. So if my closest object in my frame is this thing that is closer than a meter away, I want to move my camera not much. I want to move it maybe my eye, the same distance as your eyes are from each other, or maybe a little bit less. And now let me tell you something also. With this shifting, less is more. So we can easily move too much, and then through experience I found that your brain struggles to actually perceive the foreground, and it the effect, it just doesn't come through right. So rather too little shift than too much. Like all things, this you should just experiment with, and that is where the burst mode that I told you to set up your camera with comes in. So with burst mode, it's helpful in two ways. In one way, you can use it to minimize the movement in your frame because you use it to capture your stereogram in a very quick time frame. So the movement of a tractor or something moving your frame is quite little, not much. But it's also very handy if you're not experienced yet and you don't know how much you should actually move your camera. So with burst mode, you set up your camera, line everything up, and then you're going to burst while you move quickly while still trying to keep your camera lined up. Now this will give you about 5 or 10 images, depends on how long you held your shutter down for. And with that, you would be able to choose a certain distance that you want. So you choose a frame that is the correct distance from your first frame. And that allows you to experiment with your distances that you shift with. And yeah, so but I know if this thing is the closest, I'll shift about that much. If I have a bush, you get used to it and you get trained on how much you should shift. But burst if you're not sure how much. And remember, rather too little shift than too much. And also remember, base your shifting distance on the closest object in your frame. Now that we know that and we've captured our 3D stereogram, let's get to editing it. Okay, so now that we have captured our 3D stereograms, let's open up Lightroom and import our images from our hard drive or phone, whatever. I've already done that. So let's then just import them. Go to the develop tab, ignore that these are already edited and worked on. I shot this is actually the third time I'm shooting this video. So let's make these our images that we want to work on. Okay, so I've both selected them with 1 star and these are all flagged. So these two go together and these two go together. Okay. So what you're going to do, you're just going to do a basic edit on them, edit them like you would have every other image. But one thing you really want to do that is important, and that is, just a requirement for this technique, is make sure you enable profile lens corrections. So it just corrects for the distortion that might bother us later when we actually align these, if they aren't aligned, quite well in camera. So if they are aligned perfectly, almost like these two are done very well, it won't be a problem, but make sure you enable your profile correction. So I'm just going to edit this image and I'll get back to you. Okay, so now I have this image edited the way I would have edited it. Well, not really, but I mean, it works fine for this tutorial. So here I have my two images. Control click the other one so that both are selected, but the one you have edited are showing still. Sync everything. Spot removal, don't do spot removal. And crop, also very important. Don't crop your image now. We're going to do that later, and we might actually need sides of the images that you could have cropped off. So you can align the horizon, yes, do that, but don't crop it further than that. So align your horizons, also sync that across. So yeah, no, actually, you can do both of them separately. I mean, yeah, try to output them, quite the same. So you can sync that or not. Let's synchronize it. It's going to sync them. Both are going to look the same. Then I'm going to edit in Photoshop 2022. Edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to wait for Photoshop to open up. And then we're going to copy the one file from the one document over to the other document so that we have one document with both images as layers. So I'm going to click Control A so that it selects all. Control C, that is Command C on a Mac. Move over to the other one and Control V. So here we go. Our layers, see we have both layers here. We can close the other one. We're done with that one. No. Now important, unlock that bottom layer so that we have just normal layers and not a background layer. What you're going to do, we're going to change the opacity of our top layer to 50%, there around, and then I'm going to click Control T and use my arrow keys to line up these images, and you can see there, I'm lining them up. I think that is about the best I can do. What is very important is I've lined up this part, and you should line up something that is very far away and not your foreground. Okay, so line up also like you lined up the grid lines of your camera. Make sure you line up something that is very far away. Now what is very important is that you check the side of your image. Okay, and here I can see it's actually not lined up here perfectly, so I actually rotated my phone a bit while shooting these, and that's going to happen. So what you're going to do now, I'm going to check the top one that I've selected now, which one of these is the top one. So I'm just going to move it around. Okay, I moved the one I'm selected upwards, so I know it's actually the bottom one. So in other words, if my right side is lined up perfectly, my left side is still a little bit below, so I should actually rotate it that way. So I'm going to just increase my rotation here just a bit. Don't do it until it's actually perfect here, because now it actually drops on the other side. So let me line it up on this side. Oops. Okay, Control T again. Line it up. Okay, this side is lined up now. Let's just check the other side. Control to scroll to pan sideways. Okay, now it's not lined up this side. To this side, it's actually above the other one. So let me drop it down again. And let's check on this side. So now this side is going to be below. Actually, it's alright. Oh, okay. No, it's just because I've not moved that far. So now you just play around with this until you have everything sorted out. Pan to the other side. Okay, everything is aligned now. So make sure you align it by shifting it up and down and side to side, but also rotation wise. Just click out there, control and scroll to shift sideways, normal scroll up and down, control side to side, and alt to zoom in. So now I have my infinity lined up perfectly. You can see the foreground obviously won't be lined up because that's what creates the whole effect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, image canvas size. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the size of the canvas that our images are printed on and make the canvas almost double the width so that we can put both of these images side to side, but not exactly double, but a little bit less, because if we go exactly double, our images need to be lined up perfectly and they obviously weren't. So I'm going to go almost double, but rather around, it should be around 6000, but I'm going to go 5980. So that's about 20, I think it was actually 320, so it's actually about 40 pixels less than double. And there we go. Now we have a wide canvas. Actually, I shifted them up and down a bit also. So you can, if you shifted it up and down a lot, decrease your height as well to make sure it doesn't make weird effects. Or actually, okay, increase our opacity back up there. And now what you're going to do is deselect the layers, go to view, guides, and new guide layout. It was right here, but now it's under guides, new guide layout. Copy my settings here. I have a preset for that, stereogram. So columns 4, rows 5. You can do more rows, but make sure you have an even number of columns, because we want a column that's in the middle that we want to base our center line on. Got to just copy these settings. Okay. Select the top one, Control T once again, hold shift so that it can't go up and down, very important, and shift it over. So we're going to line it up just now. Click the other one and move it to this, Control T once again, move it to that side. Okay, now we're going to find something to line these grid lines up with. Okay, I see there's a V in the mountain there, so I'm working with the left image here, Control T. I'm going to move that until it lines up just perfectly on the line. Okay, here we go, on the right side of the center one on this side. So let me line up this side's V the same way, so it should come a bit left. Control T once again, push it over. I don't know why it glitches like that. And there we go, it's lined up. Okay, zoom out. There we go. Now you can see we have a little bit of gap. That's what I meant. So if you shifted it a lot up and down, you'll have a big gap here. But you can see it falls outside of my frame, so it's not going to bother me on this side as well. See there, if I made this canvas even broader, this gap would have been too big and it wouldn't have fit in my outside of, inside my frame. So what we're going to do now, select the top one, select the rectangle marquee tool, and just select the inside of our grid lines. Here you can see how I did it, and click mask. Same for the other side. It automatically snaps to the grid. There we go. Oops, Control Z to undo. Solid color white. This is just going to be a background for us, and there we go. Our stereogram is created. For just go to view, guides, clear guides. There we go. Now I'm just going to cross my eyes. As I said, you can move your finger Actually, there we go. Yeah, so it's part here. And there I have my arms aligned, and wow, 3D. Okay, so that's how you create a 3D stereogram. I'm just going to save this file, the Photoshop file, so that we can come back later. Save it as a Photoshop file. Video example 2. So I did this actually the third time now. Save. Okay. And then file, export as JPEG, everything, yes. Export under output, video example 2. Okay. So here I have my image now. Oh, actually it's the second one. So actually video example 2. And there we have. I'm just going to sit back a bit. And there we go. So if you want to shoot vertically, because it just allows your eyes to cross a bit less. If you shoot horizontal or landscape, you have a very wide image, and if you as I said, almost double your canvas size, it's going to be a very wide thing, and you have to cross your eyes a lot because it's a wide image. So you want to shoot portrait, you can even shallow them off a little bit more, make them a little less wide, but this is perfectly fine. And yeah, so shoot vertically. If you shoot horizontal, you can just then you can crop them in Lightroom, or when you get to the canvas size, you can just not double them, but rather just give it, say, another 1000 pixels from 4000 to 5000, so that it doesn't get too wide. And then you'll just when you align them, you'll just choose the best part of the image to show, and then you won't have that wide image. Then you end up with something more vertical like this. My ratio right now is 5, so it's almost 6000 by 4000. So you should aim for something around this. And yeah, so I hope to see every one of you try this technique, at least just try to see the effect with my images. I'll show a bunch of them on the screen. You can pause. I hope the pause button won't get in the way, but you can pause and try to see it. As I said, take your finger and move it about yeah, and you'll see them line up. You'll see that white frame become quite clear in the middle image, and then it's just up to your eyes to actually change their focus to make the image clear. So the line up you can do by putting your finger here, and you'll see that white frame become one frame in the middle. And yes, I'm going to test how this works in real life with social media posting, some of them asking people if they could see it with polls and stuff. So I hope it actually does well, and I hope people actually appreciate the efforts of photographers, or of me putting in this effort to give them something that they can visualize. So yeah, I hope it performs well, and it's not like something everyone just scrolls by. So yeah, I'll see how it is, but let's make it something worth looking at. I hope to see every one of you collaborating and getting into this technique, introducing it back into the photography community. I know long ago you had stereogram cameras that actually was 2 cameras mounted side by side, and we have a bunch of war images and black and white images captured this way, but we never see them done today. So I feel it's a very qualified technique, especially the fact that you don't require any hardware. It's simply your eyes that have to do a certain thing, and there you have it. You have a 3D screen or 3D effect right there in your home, at home, with a normal phone screen or a TV screen or laptop screen. And yeah, so I hope to see every one of you try it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have fun shooting.